Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to a new video. I hope you guys are having a wonderful and fantastic Wednesday. And for those of you who are EU, I hope you have a great Thursday, because that's probably when you're going to be watching this video. Anyway, I hope you guys are having a good day. Today, I wanted to talk about Kleptomancy Riven. Now, this is something that is not exactly a new concept, but I was talking to a friend of mine who is a Masters/Challenger Riven player. As you can see, these are his stats on Opgg. He is an EU West player, and he has been Challenger in the past. Right now, he's Masters 0 LP, and he currently takes Kleptomancy Riven a lot. He's pretty active on my Discord server, and I was talking to him, and I was discussing with him, what does he think about Kleptomancy, why does he take it, and what's the reasoning behind it. And because he's a high-level player, and he's better at Riven than I am, I know that for sure because he's been 600 LP Challenger, I just wanted to go over this with you guys today, and talk about Kleptomancy Riven, and what are my thoughts on it, what are his thoughts on it. I've got a pretty detailed description of Kleptomancy Riven from him and what he thinks about it. So let's just get right into it. So firstly, reviewing over his Opgg, you can see, yep, he's Master 0 LP, and he's been playing Riven quite a bit in this preseason, 55 games played, 64% win rate, and he takes Kleptomancy quite often, in most of his games actually, roughly 80 to 90% of his games, he takes Kleptomancy. Let's just sort quickly here by ranked solo, and we'll sort by Riven. Okay, so we can see exactly. Now, he does swap out for Unsealed Spellbook quite a bit. As you guys know, I definitely like Unsealed Spellbook as well, and we will get into that because in his notes that he described why he takes Klepto, he also talked about Unsealed Spellbook, so we'll definitely get into that. But let's talk about his notes. As you can see, he has a 76% win rate, 19-6 in his last 7 days. So let's go over his notes that he gave me, and let's go over his rune page setup. Okay, so for example, some of the matchups he did this against, he went 13-7 versus Maokai, 10-5 versus Trundle, 3-0 versus Camille, 5-3 versus like a Karthus, 7-4 versus Maokai, 5-4 versus Malphite, 11-1 versus Nasus. So as you can see, he plays against a lot of tanks. It's not just you guys at home in your ranked solo queue games, you know, where you say, oh my god, I play versus a tank every single game. That's not just you. It definitely happens to a lot of people. So this is the counter. This is what he believes is what you should do versus tank matchups. So let's go ahead and look at his page. So he played versus a Maokai this game. So what did he do? He did 28k damage, which is really good. And this is his page. QEW max, starts longsword 3. His first item, he gets a call fields into a cleaver. That way you get that 30% CDR as fast as possible. And you can see this is his page. He takes Klepto into perfect timing. Against harder lanes, he might swap this over to biscuits rather than the stopwatch, but then he takes the boots, Cosmic Insight, Sudden Impact, and Ravenous Hunter. So the big advantage of taking Klepto versus tank matchups is that you're going to be able to proc it a lot, meaning that you not only are going to get a lot of gold from your Klepto, but it also means that you're going to get these elixirs that are going to help give you these stats. Now, in the current season, it's not as easy to beat tanks because you don't have Fervor. The reason why Fervor was so broken, and honestly, despite what every other player says and every other Riven player, a lot of other top bruiser players like Hashinshin, or you know, there was that discussion between like Hashinshin, ICU, all those guys, right? There was a lot of complaining that Fervor is gone. Personally, I don't have a problem with Fervor not existing, because in my opinion, Fervor was broken beyond belief. I mean, even when Leona's support is taking Fervor, you know it's probably a little bit overpowered. So what made Fervor so broken is that essentially, even when it was the Bramblevest meta, and even when it was a tank meta, with Fervor, because the stacks lasted for so long, and it gave you, at level 18, it gave you 64 AD, this meant that it was almost impossible for a tank to win a straight 1v1 versus a carry, assuming they're on relatively equal grounds. Unless the tank was really ahead or is 6 armor items, it was pretty hard for a tank to kill Riven, because Riven could easily just shred right through them. Taking Fervor gave you 7% armor pen just going down that mastery tree, and on top of that, it gave you so much sustain damage. It both increased your auto attacks, your Q, your W, how big your shield is, because it just gave you flat AD. So it was the premier bruiser keystone. But now that that's gone, press the attack and electrocute and airy, it's not the same thing at all. It's not going to end up being the same thing. But instead, what you do is you compensate rather than giving yourself direct damage through your runes, although the Kleptomancy does have a chance to give you these elixirs, the Tenacity Elixir and the Wrath Elixir that gives you AD. Both of those are really good and will help you 1v1 tanks. But the big thing about taking Klepto is that if you've ever noticed or understand some of the balance of League, one thing that's really annoying for carry champions is their items cost a lot more than tank items, meaning that things like Sunfire Cape, Thorn Mail, a lot of these things are a lot cheaper than Cleaver, Death's Dance. All these items are a lot more expensive, Ravenous Hydra as well. They're a lot more expensive than tank items. So if you take Klepto, not only proccing it gives you gold, but the idea of getting that gold pack or whatever it is, 60 to 100 gold, however much you can get, that allows you to do a lot of things that you really want, and it allows you to get your items faster. So even if you might not be able to directly 1v1 the tank in the early game because of your fervor, it also means that you get your Cleaver, your Caulfields, and maybe even a Last Whisper or a Yomu's or a Death Dance, whatever you're going for. You can get that item a lot quicker and keep up with the pace. You can always stay about 1,000 to 1,500 gold ahead of the tank because Klepto just gives you so much gold. Another big reason why we go down the inspiration tree as it is simply because what's really nice about the inspiration tree is you just get so much AD at level 1. Going for the inspiration tree first and to domination second, you get 87 AD level 1 if you start a longsword, which leads me into my notes that I want to go over. So these are the exact notes that he gave me, my friend, who is a Master/Challenger Riven player, and he said, I take Klepto over any other rune at the moment due to several reasons. When buying longsword plus 3 pots at level 1, you will have 87 flat AD. What he does is he starts Q and immediately when the wave hits, shove it in as fast as he can, unless the matchup prevents him from doing so. Usually my opponent already misses like 1 to 2 CS when the wave crashes into turret at level 1. When the second wave hits, I try to put it in a good position for me and pick E level 2. This way I can E auto attack my opponent for a Klepto proc. When he goes in for a CS and he can't punish it because the wave is in a decent position, usually depends on the matchup. From here on out, I just keep shoving waves, mostly playing versus tanks lately in solo queue, and when they trade, I can out trade them. Not purely in health most of the time, but I gain gold and whatnot from Klepto procs. Also, if you take Klepto and Inspiration, you get 20% more duration on your potions, which does really help out a lot, especially in early trades. Because you gain so much gold and usually clear waves faster because of the good flat AD and good pot sustain, I have around 90 CS at 10 minutes in any tank matchup. This way I can get an early Caulfields after first B, and then Cleaver much sooner than, for example, with Airy. For exact runes, Klepto into tanks, melee matchups such as Fiora, Camille, Darius, I take Klepto, Perfect Timing, Magical Footwear. Again, this saves you 350 gold in total and helps you get Cleaver even faster. Cosmic Insight. For my second tree, I use Domination and Sudden Impact with Ravenous Hunter. This is what I find the best from my playstyle. You can try and change it a bit, of course. For matchups like Jace Cannon, I take the exact same page, but only change Klepto into Spellbook. So the key thing, what to do with Klepto into tanks, is I have really good stats early, plus sustain to push out waves early and take good trades. First back by Caulfields, and we'll try to look for as many Klepto procs as possible through the entire laning phase. Into tanks, I rush Cleaver into Caulfields, then usually go Yomu's, Death Dance, GA/Last Whisper. It really depends on my gold on resets in the state of the game and team comp, so I change it a lot. It's really easy to push out waves and look for roams mid, or use the vision ward you get from Klepto to get vision on the enemy jungle after you shoved out a wave. So I think he does a really nice job of describing what makes Klepto so good and why you can use it versus tank matchups specifically. The biggest thing is the gold generation and the potion sustain, although you don't start a Doran's item, and maybe this is the one thing that I disagree with him on, and that's okay because every Riven plays differently and has a different play style. I still prefer to start either a Doran shield into a D-blade or 2 Doran's blades into a longsword as my first back. I hate the fact that if you go longsword, you have no health items, meaning that if you get ganked, you're gonna get one shot by the jungler. I mean, if it's a Lee Sin or a Xin Zhao or a Kha'Zix, if you get CC'd, let's say it's a Maokai top and a Kha'Zix jungle, if he ever W's you and you have no HP because you don't have long swords, the biggest issue is that not getting any health items early is gonna be really hard for you to survive that gank. However, if he does rush Cleaver very quickly, so let's say he starts Longsword and then gets Caulfields into a Phage or a Kindle Gem, that HP is going to help you out a lot there. So it's just going to depend on playstyle, and it's going to depend on you as a Riven player. Do you think that you can make this work for you? There's a lot of people who are going to try this and probably not like it, or probably think it sucks, but I guarantee you there's going to be a lot of people who watch this video, go and try it versus tank matchups and say, hey, I really like it. I think it actually works out great. I've personally tried it myself, and it's worked out very well. I've won 5 out of the 6 ranked games I've tried, and I tried it in a few normal games as well, and thematically and in theory, it does make a lot of sense versus tanks. Because press the attack and airy are just not fervor, there should be no reason why you try to like fake it. There's a lot of people who have said, hey, take press the attack, it's just a weaker version of fervor. I think you should just adjust your play style in general. You shouldn't try to take the weaker version of what fervor used to be versus all of these tanks and these really annoying matchups. I think you should just look at it completely different. I think you should look at it either taking Klepto or Unsealed and starting with Ignite. Both of these things are going to help you defeat those tanks in Season 8, and that's why I think it's really good. Now, if you are watching this video in the future, if you're watching this maybe 4 or 5 months down the line after it was released, I could see a world where maybe this is not the best thing anymore. Granted, you have to take everything with a grain of salt because this still is the preseason. I could see a world where Klepto does get nerfed because at the moment, champions like Gangplank and Ezreal are just abusing it really hard. But for right now, I would recommend this for most any Riven player, at least to try and see if they can get it to work in their tank matchups in their solo queue games, because I think Klepto makes a lot of sense and it definitely does work out, and I've tested it myself. We have a proof of theory and a proof of concept with my friend here, so just, you know, give it a try, give it a go and see how it works out for you. Maybe it doesn't work, or maybe it works out great and you love it. You know, the only way to know is to try. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. Make sure you check out his YouTube and his Opgg. I'll leave a link for both of those in the description. He helped me out a lot with this video, and he's a really good friend of mine. He's pretty active in my Discord, so if you ever want to ask him any questions, make sure you just go into my Discord. His username is the same as his IGN, so make sure you go check him out. Check out his YouTube, like I said in the description down below, and thank him for helping me make this video and showing me the Klepto. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it. Leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed, and I will see you guys tomorrow with a new video.